Hello, hello, hello. It is me, your True Hill Phenom, SP3. This is once again, we are bringing back, it's been a while. We're bringing back The Count, our countdown series where we count down some of wrestling's greatest matches, greatest events, greatest moments. I am back once again with the Supreme Ivan Ooze, the co-host of True Rewind. This is Drunk Guy JJ.
Thank you.
Of course. And this time, it is 25 years since the first ever In Your House. This weekend where we're filming this is NXT TakeOver In Your House. So we thought that it was about time that we gave you the top 10 best In Your House matches in history. We've already done a ranking of every single In Your House event on True Hill Heat 74, but now we have to talk about the matches that stood out the most, because honestly, In Your House didn't have a lot of great overall events, but my oh my, did it have some great matches. What do you think, Drunk Guy JJ? Well, I mean, maybe that's one of our opinions. But before we get into any of the countdown, this is a quick reminder to you, the viewer, push that like button, give us a thumbs up, let us know you enjoy this video, and of course the iCard down at the bottom, you can push that to subscribe and push the bell to stay notified for all the great content right here on True Hill Heat. So, In Your House, top 10 best In Your House matches in history. All time. We're going to start off at number 10, 1998, fully loaded. A lot of times I just thought Fully Loaded was its own pay-per-view because later on it did become its own pay-per-view. But the first ever Fully Loaded was in 1998. It was In Your House Fully Loaded, and that was main evented by a very cool tag team matchup between Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Undertaker versus Mankind and Kane. But our number 10 is the semi-main event, and it's one of the greatest rivalries in WWE history, as it was The Rock going one-on-one with Triple H for the Intercontinental Championship. 2 out of 3 falls. This was back at the very beginning of The Rock and Triple H rivalry, The Rock being the leader of the nation, Triple H being the leader of DX. 2 out of 3 falls. This match went to a draw, but tell me what you remember from this matchup, Drunk Guy.
Honestly, this was like one of my favorite matches growing up. Like, I can't even tell you how many times I watched this match. Like, this is around the time like I really became like that diehard fan, and I actually still got it recorded on my VHS. It was a great back and forth. It actually showed what these two guys could do on a big stage, because that Nation and D-Generation X feud was big during that time. So this is pretty much setting up The Rock to go to the next step. Also, Triple H setting them up to go to the next step, and they delivered in a great match. And it was great how they ended it, to lead on to what would go on to happen at SummerSlam, and a great ladder match. So that's still one of my favorite matches. Still enjoy that match.
This is like one of their very early, really, really good matches. I think the matchup that everybody remembers, and it's the matchup that kind of made them both main event players, is the matchup the following month at SummerSlam 1998. But this set the stage for it perfectly, because this was a back and forth matchup. I believe it went to a 30-minute time limit draw. So this is got the two guys working their ass off for 30 minutes. Yes.
The pedigree. And then by the time we went for the pin, the 30 minutes time limit was up. So
classic stuff. And this is a reversal of roles. Like, most people remember The Rock and Triple H, with The Rock being the babyface, Triple H being the heel. But in this one, you have Triple H as the babyface with China in his corner, and The Rock as one of the top heels in the entire company. So I just remember at the time being a very big DX fan, but I loved The Rock, so I was very conflicted watching this. I never really liked Triple H, but I loved DX. But so this was
The Rock was coming into his own at this time anyway, so he was pretty much being the Rock that we know now in the company. So great match.
Absolutely. This was like The Rock when he was really hitting his stride. I would say around the time that he turned his back on Farouk the following night after WrestleMania 14, kind of set in motion for him to be like this huge rising star. But this matchup at Fully Loaded is very much about it. All right. So coming in at number 9, we have from one of the earliest In Your House, from In Your House number 2, Lumberjacks. It was for the Intercontinental Championship as Double J Jeff Jarrett defended his title against the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels. This one is a classic. This is a classic Intercontinental Championship matchup. Probably, arguably, in a lot of people's mind, Double J's greatest WWE matchup of his career.
That's not an argument for me. It's definitely his greatest match in WWE. Probably one of his greatest matches of his career, honestly.
What do you remember most about this match?
I didn't like Double J. I never was a big fan of him, but of course, him being in the ring with Shawn Michaels pretty much in his prime when that's all Shawn was out there was putting on classic matches, bangers. So this definitely was a great match. I think this is when Shawn wins back the belt, correct?
Correct.
And he goes on to SummerSlam face Razor, but whatever. But yeah, it was definitely a great back and forth match. Made Jeff Jarrett look really good this match. Shawn won the belt, thank God, because that was my favorite at the time growing up. So definitely a great match.
This is two guys that were just so athletic at the time, as well as great sellers. And it's very rare that you get two guys who are so great at selling.
Yeah, Jeff Jarrett is underrated when it comes to that.
Yeah,
selling. He's a great student of the game. He understands wrestling. He might not be putting on classics all the time, but he's definitely underrated in that sense that he knows wrestling.
And this was really the peak of Double J's character, because earlier in the night at this pay-per-view, he had his famous performance at In Your House. Along with my baby tonight. And he had the roadie in his corner. The finish happens. Roadie thinks that he's about to trip Shawn Michaels, but instead Shawn Michaels reverses the Irish whip, and he trips Double J. Double J is distracted and then turns around right into Sweet Chin music. This one is one that you should definitely go out of your way to watch. This was, if I remember correctly, this was Shawn Michaels' first babyface run as a champion, as a champion of any kind.
It was his first one because this is after Mania. Sid beat him up, and this would led to him becoming face, getting saved, and not saved, but saved by Diesel, and then becoming the champion. That would happen later, him getting saved.
Yes, exactly. Well, we probably will talk about that on True Rewind for sure.
Ironically, the next match on the list. Shawn Michaels versus Diesel.
There you go. Coming in at number 8 is from April 1996. From Good Friends, Better Enemies, it is the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels defending the WWF Championship against Big Daddy Cool Diesel. This is Big Daddy Cool Diesel's last official WWF matchup before he made the jump over to WCW. This one is, in my eyes, is the earliest, I would say Diesel was a part of the two matches that had the earliest signs of the Attitude Era. The Attitude Era main event style. I would say the first one was the Survivor Series 1995 match with Bret The Hitman Hart. And then this one just take it up even higher, because you got the bump through the announce table with Diesel giving the jackknife to Shawn, with all the monitors falling on top of Shawn as the table involved. You had the leg with Mad Dog Vachon's fake leg. There's so many classic moments in this matchup. What do you remember most about it?
That's what I was about to say. The spot when he pulled the leg.
Such a heel move
to this day. But definitely one of Diesel's better matches. Ironically, his best matches in that whole run were against Shawn and Bret. So go figure. It was a great way for him to go out. Had a great match with Shawn. This is Shawn starting his title run at the time because he just won it at Mania. He goes on to face Diesel, looks good beating Diesel, and it goes on to continue his run. Diesel goes on to go play with big boys, and there we have it.
That's the catchphrase of True Rewind, it seems. But yes, this is a classic no holds barred matchup, about 20-25 minutes, and it's just hard hitting. Definitely one for you to go out your way to watch. But the next one is what I consider the underrated gem of all In Your House matches, because not even you remembered this one. Coming in.
I haven't watched this match in Lord knows how long.
Coming in at number 7 is from In Your House, Beware of Dog. The following month in May 1996, it was Stone Cold Steve Austin going one-on-one with Savio Vega, and this one was a strap match. The Beware of Dog pay-per-view is probably the most one of the more talked about or infamous pay-per-views in WWF history, as the power went out on the original telecast on that Sunday, and they had to redo it the following Tuesday. But that following Tuesday had this classic strap match. This is the historical significance because in a lot of ways, a lot of people point to this matchup as the match that made WWF officials and Vince McMahon notice Stone Cold Steve Austin and allow him that push the following month at the 1996 King of the Ring to become the King of the Ring, which definitely was the rocket and the light and the light that he needed to go up to the roof with his Austin 316 promo at the end of the King of the Ring 1996. But what do you remember about this matchup, the strap match between Savio?
A hard-hitting match. Savio and Austin were whooping each other's ass. And it definitely made Austin look good heading into what you just said, into his push into the King of the Ring. Honestly, the first time you saw something in Stone Cold. Like, it made Stone Cold leading him to going into the King of the Ring, to getting the push into the rest of his career, because, the Ringmaster wasn't really it. The Ringmaster wasn't really working, but there's definitely one of the, like you said, one of the matches to me, it's like, oh shit, he can go. He can really do something for the company.
Totally agree with you. This is a hard-hitting brawl. Austin becomes bloody from the mouth at one point in this matchup. Probably like the most famous visual of this matchup is Austin's bloody mouth. And definitely Savio Vega's best match of his WWE career, arguably of his entire career. Coming in at number 6 is from February 1997. This is the Final Four, and the match in question was a fatal four-way matchup, as it was Stone Cold Steve Austin, the winner of the Royal Rumble 1997, versus Bret the Hitman Hart, versus Big Van Vader, versus The Undertaker. These were the last four men in the 1997 Royal Rumble, which had a controversial finish, where Stone Cold Steve Austin was eliminated by Bret the Hitman Hart. The referees did not see this, so Austin came back into the ring, eliminated Vader and Undertaker, as well as Bret the Hitman Hart, to win the 1997 Royal Rumble. So this matchup, this was another one that was hard hitting. I think that was like a staple of Stone Cold back in his day. His early years. And this one was, like, I would say one of Vader's like standout matches. If we did a top 5, top 10 Vader matches, this is the one, especially from his WWE run, that I remember the most. This was bloody Vader. He's busted open at one point. The Undertaker is hard hitting in this. Bret Hart is great as usual. But all four guys were at the top of their game, which, when we look back at Vader's run, which we will on True Rewind, it wasn't a lot of standout moments, but this was definitely one of them. What was your memories of this match?
I think this was actually the first fatal four-way match.
I want to say, yeah, from the WWE, WWF, I think so.
Because they didn't do that many multi-man matches like this. It was just our standard one-on-one tag team matches during this time. So this was actually groundbreaking in a lot of ways, especially leading into what they would go on to do in pretty much months' time. So it was definitely a great match. All four men looked good in that. Of course, they had to, somebody lost their smile. So, it changed a lot of things heading into that WrestleMania, but also,
yeah, because this match was originally supposed to be for the number one contendership for the WWF title, but Mr. Shawn Michaels lost his smile a couple of weeks before this match, and it became for the WWF Championship. And you could win this matchup by pinfall submission or eliminating your opponent over the top rope, like the Royal Rumble. So that was the uniqueness of this one. It wasn't like any other Fatal 4-Way that we would go on to see as well.
Absolutely. Great match. Definitely a great match leading to Mania. And that's honestly good thing Shawn did give the belt, because we wouldn't have got that classic Bret Austin match. We would have got another Shawn Bret match. So
also true. Hindsight is 20/20. We did get that blessing in disguise. So coming in at number 5, now we're in the top 5, and we go back to 1995, and this is one that we will be watching very, very soon. It is Bret the Hitman Hart defending the WWF Championship against the British Bulldog from In Your House number 5, Seasons Beatings. It was the holiday season, and they had to do brother versus brother-in-law. It was Bret the Hitman Hart had just won the WWF Championship back at the Survivor Series 1995. The previous month before that, British Bulldog got a shot at the WWF Championship against Diesel, and Bret the Hitman Hart was the reason why Bulldog did not win the title as he got involved in the matchup. So after Bret won the title at a Survivor Series, this match was set up, and my oh my, this was a classic.
Absolutely. And honestly, I actually enjoyed this. I'm probably going to get a little flack for this. I enjoyed this match more than their SummerSlam match.
Wow,
I enjoyed this match more than their SummerSlam.
Put it down in the comment section if you're angry at him.
SummerSlam, don't get me wrong, is a classic match, but this match was great. This match was great as well. So
I would say this matchup is a little in a lot of ways it has a sprinkle of the SummerSlam 1992 matchup, but it more christens to if you remember 1997, the finals of the European title tournament with Owen versus Bulldog. I felt like they went very back and forth. It was very technical style, and Bulldog was in much better shape than he was at SummerSlam 1992. If you remember the infamous story of SummerSlam 1992. British Bulldog spent the whole week getting high on cocaine and other drugs with Jim the Anvil Neidhart. So Bret the Hitman Hart basically had to walk him through that class.
Damn, these motherfuckers was really tripping in SummerSlam. We had LOD, you had remember Road Warrior, Road Warrior Hawk got Bulldog. Man, these guys.
We'll do a SummerSlam countdown. We'll get more into that, but this one is just a great technical matchup. They gave him a whole bunch of time, and it was in the main event, so I loved it.
Definitely a great match.
Love this one, and I can't wait to rewatch it as a part of True Rewind for sure.
Coming soon, guys. Coming soon.
You can check. We'll put an iCard right here. Ding. So, coming in at number 4, we have the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, defending the WWF Championship against Mankind from In Your House Mind Games. This is from September 1996. Shawn Michaels in Philadelphia. Absolutely. The Philadelphia fans. You had the ECW, Cauldron, Sandman, Tommy Dreamer in the crowd earlier in the night. But this one, in a lot of ways, had a lot of ECW tendencies in it. A lot of hard bumps. Mankind, honestly, this is one of his classic performances. Like, if this was a single person performance, Mankind is in the top 10, honestly, by himself.
I think this is the greatest shit finish match of all time.
Absolutely. For a match that did not have a finish. Shawn Michaels, I think it went to a no contest, didn't it? Because Undertaker, Goldust interfered.
I think Goldust and them all came out, the bell rung, the Undertaker popped up out of the casket lead because leading up to their him and Mankind's Buried Alive match, and it just went downhill.
But what do you remember most about this matchup?
It's a great match. This was probably Shawn's most aggressive match as champion. Like, he was beating the shit out of Mankind. Like, I always, for some reason, love this spot when I think Foley's fingers is fucked up. But he brings them back together. Shawn stomping on his fingers the whole match. Like, great psychology. And it was just they did psychology. They had, of course, a brawl. He's going to get a brawl out of Mankind. Trying to add some technical stuff into it. It was, man, I love this match.
And I think what everybody remembers the most from this matchup is the spot with Mankind on the apron and Shawn bumping him off the ropes and him taking that sick back bump through the announce table. It's just, you watch it today and it still lives up to it. Like, there's not too many table bumps as hard as Mankind at Mind Games. So that is number 4. So here we go into the top 5. I mean, the top 3. The top 3 right here. And why I said 5 is because at number 3, we have the 5-on-5 from Canadian Stampede. It is Team Canada or Team Hart Foundation versus Team USA or Team Stone Cold Steve Austin, as it was Hart Foundation of Bret the Hitman Hart, Owen Hart, British Bulldog, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and Brian Pillman versus the team of Stone Cold Steve Austin, Ken Shamrock, Goldust, and the Legion of Doom. My, oh my. This one is by far one of the hottest crowds to ever witness a professional wrestling matchup that you ever see.
The crowd was amazing. that crowd, like a lot of matches, the crowd makes the match better. They took this up to another level. As soon as the Hart Foundation came out, man, Jesus, I still get goosebumps watching them come out. That was such a great moment, a great match, pretty much a thrown together match, and they made that shit work, man. They made that work. It was definitely a great match. And honestly, the greatest in your house. One of the greatest in your house of all time.
I was going to say that on True Hill Heat 74, we ranked Canadian Stampede as the number one in your house in history. And in a lot of ways, it's due to this main event matchup. This card had only like 4 or 5 matchups, but all of them were good to great. And this was the greatest of them all. Stone Cold Steve Austin, at the time, one of the biggest baby faces in the WWF, puts on an all-time heel masterclass. Like, everything he could to get booed and get heat from his crowd, Austin does. He attacks 70-year-old Stu Hart. He attacks Bruce Hart in the crowd. Like, he is just awesome. He takes out Owen Hart. He takes him out with his knee. Then Bret takes out Austin. Austin comes back down, and then the pop for Owen when he comes back down with the injured knee is ridiculous. Like, just the crowd heat, the performance by Austin, the Hart Foundation being the top heel stable in the WWF at the time, and just being the biggest baby faces in this country. It's just so crazy to rewatch this matchup at this time in WWF history.
You gotta think at that time anyway, like a lot of heels, regardless where you at, the heels were not getting those type of reactions. So to see that was especially at that time, was crazy.
It's foreshadowed a lot of how fans would become later on.
Absolutely. Especially in Canada.
Absolutely. Bizarro land, as they once called it. But this is from July 1997, coming in at number 3. That was the 5-on-5 from Canadian Stampede. And here we are into the top 2. Coming in at number 2 is from In Your House Over the Edge. From May 1998, it was the rematch for the WWF Championship as Stone Cold Steve Austin defends against Dude Love. If you had to tell one person what's the greatest time in wrestling history, you would say the Attitude Era. But if you had to show them one match that personifies the Attitude Era, it is this matchup.
Literally summed it all up.
You had the greatest rivalry of all time of Austin and McMahon. You had one of the greatest performers of the Attitude Era in Dude Love, Mick Foley. You had the Stooges out there. You had referee bumps. You had the Undertaker. It's just crazy.
Carnage everywhere.
It's overbooked. It's overbooked to perfection. To perfection. What do you remember most about this match?
Literally what you just said. It was everywhere. That match was literally everywhere. The brawling, pretty much because Austin at the time, this is what he was like, would go on to like become just a brawler. The whole match, I love the spots when they were fighting near the stage. Undertaker comes out, chokeslams the hell out of the Stooges. Then Austin wins the match by like a typical Attitude Era fashion, putting McMahon's hand down and making him count the 1, 2, 3. Austin bleeding every damn where. It's like Sid said, if you want to watch a match from the Attitude Era, you definitely tune into this match. It's a great match.
And I will also say, if you're going to go back and watch this matchup, you have to go back and watch one of our honorable mentions for sure, Austin versus Dude Love from the previous month at Unforgiven. That match ended in like a DQ finish for Dude Love getting the victory there. But that one is also just Attitude Era personified. But I just felt like this match was a little bit better because craziness is ranked up just a little bit. You got McMahon as the special guest referee. You got the Stooges as the ring announcer and the timekeeper. It's just craziness. It's Attitude Era, and it's overbooked to perfection.
Absolutely.
So any honorable mentions before we get into our number 1 entrant for the best In Your House matchup in history?
Man, honorable mentions for In Your House. Bret in Austin, the DQ finish at Revenge of the Taker.
I like that one.
I won't say this one because it's gonna kind of mess up the number 1, so never mind.
He's like, let me take that back. One honorable mention
Anymore.
I would like to say, since we just mentioned him a few times, is The Rock versus Mankind from St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
The first last man standing match.
Absolutely. That one was one of the greatest rivalries of the Attitude Era, and that non-finish did not leave me disappointed. It was actually the perfect finish for them at the time.
Also, I enjoyed the triple threat cage match at Breakdown. Him, Shamrock, and Mankind's the Rock's first match, pretty much. Well, one of the Rock's first matches as a babyface, and the reaction he got coming into at Breakdown was crazy. Did the double people's elbow. I think he won the number one contenders. Yeah, I think he won.
Yeah, he did. The pop when you hear, do you smell what the Rock? Yeah. That was the first time you heard that Rock pop during his entrance, for sure. And you go back and watch it, it still lives up to this day. So those are great honorable mentions right there. So here we come to our number one entrant, the number one of the best in your house matches in history. And of course, it is from October 1997 from In Your House, Bad Blood, the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker in the first ever Hell in a Cell. It's 5-star rated by our Uncle Dave Meltzer. I've given it 5 stars in the past. I've told other people that this is a top 3, top 5 WWE matchup in history.
My top 5 match of all time.
Absolutely. What do you remember most about this matchup?
I think, honestly, how was I? 5 years old. So I never, like, as a kid, like, I've never seen no shit like this. For that time, I remember seeing it and being like, what? This is not a regular cage.
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels is getting his ass whooped. Like, he is pouring blood the whole match. Taker beat the shit out of Shawn. To this day, I still love that spot when he's hanging off the Hell in the Cell and he takes that table bump. Like,
Shawn with the way. I love it.
That Shawn spot, the spot when Shawn pedigrees, power drives, take on the steps, then he beats the shit out of the cameraman. Like, this was yo.
Yes, he beats the shit out the cameraman, so they open the cage doors so he can try to escape, but the Undertaker catches him, and that brings me to my probably most famous moment of this matchup is when Undertaker has Shawn on his shoulder and just repeatedly rams his face into the cell. Like, this match is the reason why the Hell in a Cell is around today.
And again, another Shawn regular thing we see in his promo where you see him falling down after he gets rammed in front of in the cell, man. So yeah.
So I just have to like ask this before we go more into this. Shawn has been on our list now 4 times. Is it official that Shawn is Mr. In Your House?
Oh, easily. It's not even a question. He had the most match, and we probably didn't even mention all the great Shawn In Your House matches. We just talked about the ones that were top 10.
Absolutely. Shawn Michaels, just anytime there was an In Your House, you give him a main event or you give him 15, 20 minutes, and he went out there and stole the show. But this one just stole the year. This was this was one of the matches of the year. If it didn't happen the same year as Austin and Bret, this would be definitely the match of the year. But it was one of the matches of the year. This was a rare year in 1997 where Uncle Dave gave 2 matches from the WWE 5 stars. Like, this one just created the Hell in a Cell. It made it a prominent figure in history. It made Shawn one of the greatest in-ring performers. It just added to that legacy. The Undertaker, this is one of his like first early classic matches.
Honestly, Taker's, I think, well, outside of if you want to count the Final 4, but like this is like Taker's first great match.
Singles match for sure.
and
then finally, I was gonna also bring up, this also includes one of the greatest debuts in WWE history as Kane, after months of Paul Bearer teasing that the Undertaker's brother was alive, as the Undertaker tombstone Shawn Michaels in Hell in a Cell. The lights went out, and then the whole building became red, and this red and black figure, tall figure standing before Paul Bearer came out, and Vince McMahon said the classic line, hit it, Jay.
That's gotta be Kane. That's gotta be
Fine. Oh my God. What a classic moment. Kane
Absolutely.
rips the door off the hinges.
Like
looks
nothing.
the Undertaker in the eye, the first time ever that anyone was tall enough to look the Undertaker eye to eye, and then he dropped the Undertaker with a tombstone power driver, which leads Shawn Michaels to get the victory in the first ever Hell in a Cell. This was a rivalry that had been building up between Shawn Michaels and the Undertaker ever since SummerSlam 1997, where Shawn Michaels was the special guest referee in Bret Hart versus the Undertaker and cost Undertaker the WWF Championship by hitting him with the steel chair. These two went in another great matchup. I was probably the honorable mention you wanted to name.
Yeah.
Round 0 in September of 1997, their main event matchup, which is one of the other great matches that you will ever see, as these guys brawled all over the In Your House set, all over the ramp, all over the crowd, and just made it so they had to be in this structure that was known as Hell in a Cell to keep Shawn from running away from the Undertaker, to keep out Hunter and Chyna. So they made the Hell in a Cell purposeful at the same time, which we don't really get today because it's a pay-per-view instead of a blow-off to feuds.
We get 3 matches. We get 3 Hell in a Cells tonight.
It's sad that Hell in a Cell has fallen so far, but in 1997... But in 1997, it created this classic match and classic moment. So any final words as we wrap up our top 10 best In Your House matches, Jay?
Of course, as always, good brother. It's always good doing these countdowns, giving you guys that good old product, because it's what we do for your True Heat. Another countdown coming soon, I'm sure, so don't worry.
Yes, me and drunk guy JJ will actually be teaming up as we do a top 10 AEW matches for their first year in existence. Wow, it's already been 1 year of AEW, so we'll get into that. But we thank you if you enjoyed this top 10 best in your house matches. Drop us a like, give us that thumbs up, let us know that you enjoyed these countdown series, because we love to reminisce about the good old days in professional wrestling, and we want to know from you, what is your best in your house matchup that you remember in history? Put that down below in the comment section. Of course, the iCard down at the bottom, you can push that and subscribe and push the bell to stay notified for all the great content right here on True Hill Heat. So for the Supreme Ivan Ooze, the co-host of True Rewind, Mr. Going Raw, this is drunk guy JJ.
Yes sir.
It is me, your True Hill Phenom SP3. This has been the top 10 best in your house matches in history. We are signing off until next time.